CVM 450 I represent. See it happen. You know the vibe. That syndicate. Oh.
It's Wednesday, June 26, 2024. Welcome to CVM News at noon. I'm Ramon Gordon. Day 3 of the Court of Appeal hearing regarding the tenure of the incumbent Director of Public Prosecutions, Paula Llewellyn, is now underway. The morning session saw the opposition People's National Party, PNP's attorney, King's Counsel Michael Hilton, challenging the argument that the provision allowing the DPP to elect to retire any time after reaching age 60 was merely added to preserve her pension benefits. Hilton argued that there needs to be a separation of powers, and the full court was correct in striking down the provision, labeling it null, void, and of no legal effect. The counter-argument is that there are other legislative measures that can address the DPP's pension needs. Hilton and his team asserts that the inescapable conclusion is that the provision should not be interpreted as part of the Constitution. We'll, of course, have more on that story in News at 7. And the government today countered recent opposition claims that there are fewer than 40 adult ICU beds available locally, stating that there are in fact 43. The island's Chief Medical Officer Jacqueline Bisesa-McKenzie provided the update alongside the Health Minister early Wednesday. Despite the seeming limited availability, Bisesa-McKenzie revealed that there are at least 4 other designated areas suitable for emergency services, including short-term ventilation. Speaking specifically to the number of ventilators operational today, there are 90.
Last week it might have been 100, though it varies, okay? Now, depending on the ventilators, whether or not the ventilators are made specifically to a particular setting to deal with neonates, or whether it is ventilators that can be used interchangeably among different age groups based on the connections and tubings that are there, these ventilators can move around. So if I have 8 ventilators working, say for example at Spanish Town Hospital, where I have a high dependency unit for adult, and I have NICU facilities, that is neonatal intensive care unit, those 8 ventilators would be moved to where they are needed.
The opposition has recently ramped up its critique of the island's health sector, calling for, among other things, the health minister's resignation. At Tuesday's post-cabinet press briefing, Minister Tufton also went off script to combat what he describes as political mischief.
Pre-COVID, we had 35 ventilators in the public health system. Today, just in numbers, depending on any point in time, we have over 100 at least active, not to mention what is at being serviced. So, one could be very simplistic and say we have 200 to 300% more ventilators than we had pre versus post-COVID.
Meanwhile, the health sector continues to face criticism due to various claims now circulating in the media. Although the government has mounted a defense, some stakeholders believe the sector is not performing as it should. Speaking on Lead Story Tuesday, medical practitioners Dr. Paul Wright and Dr. Michael Abrams highlighted areas where the sector could improve.
The health center, public health is in crisis. Let me tell you, there are 2 Jamaicas, whether we want to accept it or not. There's a Jamaica with money and a Jamaica without money. But you send people to these institutions for urgent care and they can't get it because they don't afford.
Yes.
The public institution that's supposed to be free.
Yes.
And that is what is causing the crisis among people. I saw a patient today.
Yes.
It's 2 years ago. He had a fracture of his leg.
Yes.
He is still waiting for treatment in a back slab.
I think that there are too many moving parts that are unfavorable under his watch. There are just too many things. For example, the Auditor General has been very, very busy since he's been Minister of Health.
Yes.
The ministry has been repeatedly flagged for hundreds of millions of dollars in situations where contracts were not put out to tender, where procurement procedures were not followed, where large amounts of money cannot be accounted for. You have the situation at Cornwall Regional where The budget started at about $2 billion, and it was supposed to have been finished by 2020. It's now 2024. The budget is now about, I think, $21 billion, and it's still not finished.
And when asked if they believe the health sector needs new leadership, this was their response.
There's no doubt in my mind.
Yes.
And it goes not only to the leadership,
yes.
it goes to the different boards that you are saying.
Yes.
They are too licky and afraid
yes.
to do the right
So
thing.
you're saying yes, and Dr. Abrams, you're saying yes as well?
Definitely.
An
overhaul.
An overhaul. The ministry needs an overhaul starting with a change in leadership.
I think so, definitely.
Something isn't right. That's the diagnosis according to medical doctor and PNP General Secretary Dr. Dayton Campbell, who attempted to contextualize recent information by the health minister concerning maternal health and ventilators. Here's more from Nika Lewis.
Political firebrand Dr. Dayton Campbell was anything but pleased with the explanations given by the health minister and his team about the number of ventilators in the public health system recently. He began his assessment of the situation after a disclaimer he's not anti-Christopher Tufton, but rather against his politics.
We apologize for the audio on that insert. Still on health, the country doesn't have enough healthcare workers to meet the sector's many needs. To address this, a summit will be held for medical professionals in the region. Speaking on Sunrise, Shauna K. Lester, the creator of the Caribbean Medical Professionals Summit, says the aim is to inspire professionals.
Having really honest conversations with these individuals about what they think about their careers and their lives. I think I had a certain kind of insight into some issues. But then early last year, I started reading lots of research from PAHO about healthcare worker migration and why people decide to do it, what they report, what they say when you try to get them to come back. And I said, you know, I think we really need something to be a vehicle for both the professional and personal development of our healthcare and medical workers, with the goal of personal and professional fulfillment. I think people just want what they want. I'm so sorry. I'm probably not the best person to ask this question, but I was reading a lot of stuff from like the World Bank and even, you know, Minister Tufton. This week he was in the news, you know, kind of chiding, you know, bigger countries for recruiting our specialist nurses and so on. But I really believe that people want what they want, and so it is your job, if you're in charge of a health ministry, to just do your best that you can to make the facilities comfortable for them, to make their remuneration what it needs to be. It's sort of just like the teachers, you know, like we could try to make the teachers feel bad for leaving, or we could just ask them what they need and try to give it to them.
It's time for a break. News at Noon continues after this.
Take your safety seriously. Always wear your seatbelt. A message from the Road Safety Unit in the Island Traffic Authority.
Later, Daddy. Take care of Grandpa.
Saka, it walk.
Let's go!
it and pin it, every rubbish in a pan. No dirty up the place, this a we island. So keep Jamaica, say me could do it, keep Jamaica clean. Make you listen to me please. No plastic bag, no fear blowing at the breeze. No proper garbage disposal, recycle plastic, now make it full up in the streets. Bag it and pin it, every rubbish in a pan. No dirty up the place, this a we island. So keep Jamaica, say me could do it. A message from the National Solid Waste Management Authority.
Welcome back. It's time for our discussion segment. The Copa America tournament, which is featuring Jamaica's Reggae Boys, is now underway. The tournament began on June 20 and is scheduled to run for 3.5 weeks. So far, Jamaica played one match and will be playing their second game tonight. Our reporter Ronaldo Adams is overseas and has been scoping out the competition. He's joining us now live to give us an overview of what's been happening. Sir Adams, hello.
Mr. Gordon, how are you, sir?
I'm well. We miss you here in studio. How is it overseas? What's the atmosphere like ahead of the competition?
Very, very, very good. As we're used to, Latin American fans tend to travel to support their teams wherever it is in the world. And with the competition being held here in the States, it's very, very, very easier for them, right? On Saturday, we were at the NRG Stadium in Houston, Texas. And it seemed as if we were in Mexico City, in Mexico. A lot of Mexican supporters were there to support their team. And it's the same thing here in Las Vegas, where we will be playing Ecuador later this afternoon. A lot of Ecuadorian supporters. Not many Jamaicans, which is a bit alarming, but you know, things happen, life happens, and I don't know what the possible reasons
I mean, supporters will likely show up a little later on, so we're holding out hope still, yes? Now, we played our first match on Saturday against Mexico, the Reggae Boys. What do you make of their performance?
Solid performance from the boys. It was a bit disappointing that we lost 1-0. Particularly because this is the weakest Mexican team we have seen in recent years. We withstood, the pressure from the Mexicans. It finished 1-0. It could have gone either way. And as I said, it was just disappointing, but we can only improve from here.
Now, somebody told me that you've seen our boys training ahead of the match today. What are they looking like?
So yesterday I attended a private training session by the Reggae Boys. It was held at the Betty Wilson Sports Complex right here in Las Vegas, Nevada. Quite the major concern was the heat. It is very, very hot here in Las Vegas, Raman.
Hotter than Jamaica?
Hot. I never know somewhere in the world could have hotter than Jamaica, but Las Vegas is hot. You know, like when you strike a light and you hold it next to your face?
Oh, absolutely.
That's we are experiencing here. Nonetheless, it will be similar conditions for both teams, so we can't use it as an excuse too much. In fact, head coach Jaime Hall-Grimson, as well as assistant coach John Wall, mentioned that that's part of their training regiment, whereas they were training earlier in the mornings so as to avoid the midday heat and the midday sun. But the boys seemed as prepared as they can be yesterday while I was there, and we can't judge the status of the team too much from training, because you can perform at your optimum best in training and still go out on the field and underperform. That's just sport. So the game is played on the field, the game is not played on paper, and we can just go ahead and hope for the best.
Ronaldo, you've spoken to the team's head coach, right? What are his expectations? Speak to us a little more about those.
Coach Hall-Grimson echoed sentiments that Ecuador is the strongest team in this group. They were highly favored to win the group, in fact. And he mentioned that they are a powerful and energetic team. Their strength is particularly headlined in the midfield by the likes of Moises Caicedo. Nonetheless, he said that the Reggae Boys are underdogs, unfortunately, but they can only do they can only perform to the best of their abilities, and he is expecting to get the win and to progress to the knockout stages.
Now, this is Jamaica's third time participating in Copa Ronaldo. We've never, however, won a match. Based on your evaluation and what you've seen, do you think we have the potential to change that?
Most definitely. The Reggae Boys squad is strong. It's a good squad on paper. But as I mentioned before, the game isn't played on paper. We scored on Saturday courtesy of Michael Antonio header from a cross from Dexter Lembisaka. But it was unfortunately called off for offsides. So we do have the potential to score. I think the boys just need a bit more time to. Unfortunately, we're 2 games in today, so there's not much time. But they just need to get that chemistry flowing, work on that link-up play in the attack, work on the build-up and cross the ball, do them like a 1-2 play, and just try to put the ball in the back of the net.
What can we expect from you come later?
Well, you can expect a lot of excitement. You can catch me on the Fan Central program this afternoon, where I'll be checking in with you guys live from the Allegiant Stadium here in Las Vegas, where the game will be played 3 o'clock Las Vegas time, 5 o'clock Jamaican time. But Fan Central is 4:30 Jamaican time.
Nice. Bring me back a keychain. That was our reporter, Ronaldo Adams. He's over in Las Vegas for the Copa America tournament. Now to international news. U.S. presidential candidates Joe Biden and Donald Trump are taking part in their first election debate on June 27. Changes in the rules this time around aim to avoid a repeat of the 2020 debate, which was overrun with interruptions and insults. Here's more from Al Jazeera.
U.S. presidential contenders Joe Biden and Donald Trump are preparing for their first face-off of the 2024 election. But unlike their 2020 debate that was filled with interruptions and insults,
I'm not going to answer the question.
Why would you answer that question?
The question is,
the radical left.
Will you shut up, man?
And hostile behaviour between the candidates that rolled over into this election cycle.
He is the worst president in the history of our country.
But he says he wants to be a dictator. I believe him.
Things will look different this time. There will be no studio audience. There will be no opening statements. Mics will be muted, except when both candidates are going to speak. That's to avoid any unwanted interruptions.
Here's what Donald Trump says about your freedom.
Both Biden and Trump have launched into their respective campaigns.
This Biden amnesty is a direct attack on American democracy.
While many may tune in just for the theatrics, many will also be eager to hear how the candidates plan to ease economic pressure bearing down on families. Biden's team has said the president will focus on abortion and democracy and hit Trump's plans to lower taxes for the wealthy.
Joe Biden's wave of bedlam and death and terror will begin to recede the moment I take the oath of office, January 20th.
Trump is planning to focus on inflation, border crossings, and Biden's handling of the conflict in Ukraine and Israel's war on Gaza.
We return with sports after this break.
At all Court stores island-wide. Shop June 3 to 30 and get up to 40% off the best furniture styles and brands for your bedroom, lounge, dining, outdoor, and more. Plus, get a free gift with purchases of $65,000 and over on 24 to 48 months credit. Shop today and pay later with Court's Ready Finance. Don't miss the Art of Living 2024 furniture event only at Court's, bringing value home. Conditions supply.
Sunshine Snacks Cheese Post. Grab a sunshine, grab a cheese post. We are crunch on a cheese post. Daddy little big, grab a cheese post. Sunshine Snacks Cheese Post. Grab a sunshine snack cheese post. Some cheese in every bite, flavor in every crunch. Extra